Hi folks, today I'm going to be taking you through my process of kind of what I've learned over drawing 30 maps in just about 30 days. It was a little bit over. So one of the things that I like about doing these 30-day challenges is it's nice because you can't be a perfectionist. So you can see here is the first map that I drew. And I will say my overall style hasn't changed a lot. I still think that I'm sticking with this kind of cartoonish style that I like. It just has a little bit more of a hand-drawn quality to it that I personally like. So one of the things that I like about doing these 30-day challenges is oftentimes there are prompts, so that helps inspire you, give you some ideas of things to do and try, and you don't have to stick with those prompts if they don't work for you. For the most part, I did stick with most of the prompts. I had a couple days where I was just like, I don't know what to draw for this, so I drew whatever I wanted. But it gets you in the habit, and because you have to draw kind of so many things in such little time, or if it's a writing or create whatever it is, you have to create so much in so little time that you can't really focus too much on every single thing being perfect. Which is definitely nice. And, I definitely learned things as this process went on, and I probably will end up going back through and touching up these maps, but it was nice just kind of being like, okay, I've done this is done, now it's time to move on. And some of them I may not ever go back to. But so as I was going through, some of the things that I definitely learned from this is the biggest thing was put each color on a separate layer. So if you're doing it digitally, putting each color on a separate layer means that you can go back through and adjust each layer individually. So if the colors are a little off, you aren't having to redo everything. And I didn't start doing this until about a week or two in, and I noticed it made a huge difference. There were still a couple of the drawings that I wasn't super fan of the colors. I'll probably go back and tweak them. But what I started doing, because I kind of started off like I would put in a color and then I would add texture and do all the stuff with that color, adding all sorts of light and darkness and texture. But then I'd add another color and realize, oh no, something is weird with this. So instead I started going through and blocking in all of the colors. So putting in the base color for everything, and then I could adjust from there, make it lighter, darker, more red, less red, whatever it was, until I was pretty much happy with everything. And then I went back through and added in the texture to it. And I definitely played around with different texture tools. I've been using Procreate to draw all of these maps, and I will try and put a list of the main brushes that I've been using down in the description below. The other major thing that made a huge difference was discovering light and shadow. I did watch a couple of tutorials, thank you 2 Minute Tabletop, that helped me figure out how to do this, and that was putting the light in one layer and the dark in another layer, and a couple of other things, so that I could adjust essentially the opacity of that shadow and lightness. I also just kind of figured out how I like to do things, ways to make walls. I've discovered, I like when the walls have a little bit of substance, that they aren't just flat lines, as well as doors, giving doors a little bit of substance. This tower here is my favorite map of the month. I love it so much, but also just in the differences in how light and dark colors are. You can see it later on when I'm doing the laboratory. It made a huge difference having a lot of the colors kind of darker, so having most of the colors darker, and then I had that green in the tanks much lighter, so that really made that stand out, and it looked like it had a glowing effect. I also added like some airbrushing and stuff like that to give it a glow effect, but really that big contrast made a big difference. So I've been trying to get better with doing that. Another thing, if you're using Procreate and you want to draw in your grid marks, set the drawing guide for the pixel width that you want each grid to be, and then turn on Drawing Assist. And just remember to turn it off when you're done, and use a fine line to trace over all of those drawing guides, because the drawing guide won't export out with the photo, or if it will, I have not figured out how to do that. And then you can draw those in. I like to draw mine and have them on a layer that's above the ground but like below objects, to help make it look like the objects have some more dimension to them. You could put it at the very top layer, whatever you want to do. And then I adjust the opacity down. Usually it's around 20%, so it's not very high. And I found that this works really well for adding in those grid lines. And then it's also easy if you're wanting to export a version that doesn't have the grid lines, just, deselect that layer and save. I also played around a little bit with a couple of different of the drawing assist things to try and do like the portal, and played around with like, okay, how do I want to try drawing like stone floor and wood and stuff like that. There were definitely some things that worked, some things that didn't work. You'll see with the portal one, I was trying to draw each individual square and realized, oh my gosh, I'm going to get these completely unlined up. So instead, I turned on that drawing assist and used that to draw in all of the guides. And then I went through and drew in kind of the individual tiles and made it look a little bit rougher. I also love this portal glowing effect. I managed to do that by copying it and putting on a little bit of a Gaussian blur to it. So as the month was going on, I definitely found that I think I'm better at doing more nature-based locations than I am necessarily doing urban. I tried a couple of times drawing like town maps and stuff like that, and just it didn't really work out that great. Those actually never even got posted. I got like 10 minutes into them and went, nope. And that's okay too. I think with some of these challenges, if you're really not digging whatever it is you're drawing, it's okay to abandon it, or, just kind of be like, okay, I had one where I just did it in black and white or in grayscale, because I just was running out of time, and that in a way was helpful because it let me focus more on saturation of lightness and darkness. I feel like I'm using the wrong words here, but it let me focus a little bit more in on that, and then I was able to translate that in over when I did full color maps. So yeah, I'm pretty happy. I think I'll probably give Mapvember a try again. I'm definitely going to keep drawing digital hand-drawn maps. I think digital for me is a huge tool because I'm able to undo stuff. Maybe with a little bit more practice, I might switch to pen and pencil. But for now, I'm going to stick with digital. I like being able to undo stuff or resize, drag and drop. Cropping canvases, I oftentimes would start out with a huge canvas and crop it down once I had sketched out what it was that I wanted to draw. If you gave Mapvember a go, how did it go for you? Feel free to tag me on social media if you've got a map that you especially want to share, and make sure that I see, and I'll let you know what I think. If you're interested in getting any of these maps, you can head on over to our Patreon. I've got the first bundle up, and we'll be posting the second one very soon, as well as a few more of these maps over the next couple of months. And then my hope is to continue drawing at least one digital map a month and put it up on our Patreon. So if you're a $2 and up patron over there, you'll get free maps that you can use. A big thanks to our patrons, especially Arvi. If you want to support our channel, you can head over to our Patreon page and check out the perks of being a patron. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you give it a like, and if you know somebody who's starting out in digital maps, maybe share this with them. All right, thanks again, and we'll see you next time on Roll for Initiative. Bye!